Hello duelists, Tombox,
Oscar, and Nishi
from MST.TV here, and today we got something awesome to share with you guys. It's each of our individual origin story of how we got into playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So starting with me, I started when the game began pretty much here in North America. I bought the Yugi structure deck, the Kaiba structure deck, the Joey structure deck. I did not buy Pegasus because I thought he was a pansy. And pretty much there was this fat kid that I played against every Saturday, and he would kick my ass. Like, his deck was made up of Legends and summon skulls. It was like I summoned a monster, he would trap hole, and it was just be terrible. I couldn't get my monsters out, and then it got to the point where I kind of stacked against him, where I would get Fluta summoning dragons, red eyes black dragon, and a blue eyes, and a Lord of D, and a Fluta summoning dragon, 5-card opening hand, and I would still lose to a dark hole. So yeah.
Confirmed stacker right here.
I was really bad. I was like, what, 13 years old at the time. And then after that, I quit Yu-Gi-Oh! For a bit because, you know, the game wasn't very interesting to me because I always lost and I didn't know about tournaments. And then up until, I think it was around 16, 17 years old, I came back because of Tristan, or MST.TV Trist. He got me a bunch of cards and made my actual first deck, and it was a Goblin King deck. Creature swap. I was known to be a bit of a cheapskate. I wouldn't buy expensive cards, didn't play meta or anything, but I would use creature swap to give my 0-attack Goblin King or like 0-attack mode scapegoats and then take their monster and then swing for game, brain control for game. I rarely use my own cards to get game.
You heard it here first. Confirmed stacker and a thief.
I stole games with brain control. That's Snatch Steal too. That was great, man. Both of them in my deck. Well, what more do you want? A 40-card deck. I have 2 cards that belong to you. And then my first, and then eventually I moved on to my first tier 1 deck was actually Perfect Circle with Disc Commander. It was broken because I was like, wow, man, he played Call of the Haunted. Draws 2 cards from Disc Commander. What a fair card. And then eventually I bought the card too, and then I made Perfect Circle. But then my first tier 0 deck was Teledad, and I spent a lot of money on that one. Yeah, that's pretty much my story. Now you see me play tier 1 deck every now and then.
Cool story, bro.
Fuck you.
Alright. So Kenny, how'd you start?
Yeah, so I mean, like most people, I got the starter deck Yugi and the starter deck Kaiba back when I was really, really young, like maybe 6 or 7 years old. And then
you're pretty young.
yeah, I was really young, man. And then I stopped playing for a little while in elementary school until I got to middle school, and I found out that a lot of other kids were actually playing at locals. And I still had a whole bunch of different cards that I accumulated just like randomly from friends or the cards that I had from a long time ago. And I actually found out that at school I could sell cards. And
what? Your school allowed that?
This was in grade 6, grade 7, and I had an ultra rare Cyber Harpy Lady. And I told these people at my school that because it had the words limited edition on it, it was a really, really rare and valuable card. And they all trusted me right away. So I sold 3 copies of it for $20 each. And at the time, I swear, it was like a $5 card. And it was absolutely ridiculous. And I actually got in trouble. I got called down to the principal's office, and they told me that I had to stop selling cards because parents were getting upset that their kids were spending all this money on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And
they don't know Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, they obviously didn't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh actually. So that kind of got me out of the game, and I stopped playing for a little while. And then closer to when I graduated high school back in around 2010, 2011, that's when I started picking up Yu-Gi-Oh again. The first deck that I actually played was Dark World. And that's because I didn't really want to put a lot of money into the game. All I did was I got 3 Dark World structure decks, kind of took bits and pieces. I got 3 copies of Drag Down and a couple of extra deck cards, like 1 Tour Guide and a Levier or something. And I went to locals with that, and I sacked people off of Dark World dealings, basically. And yeah, so most of my time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been spent playing Rogue. Necros is actually the first tier 1 deck that I've ever played. And yeah, it's a very different experience for me personally.
I remember your Dark World days. You were pretty bad.
I think you sacked me in one of the games.
Yeah, the first tournament I actually went to, I played against Oscar. And I sacked him because the 2 games that I won, I resolved Eradicator Epidemic Virus with Grapha.
Oh my God.
And he was playing Heroes, and I cleared his entire back row and kept swinging with Grapha for game. And of course, no one knew who I was because I hadn't gone to tourney before, and Oscar had been there, so I mean, what can you do? But yeah, that's my story.
Sack.
Yeah, Oscar, what about you, man?
Well, for my origin story, I actually started when I was a kid in elementary school. I was that one guy on the playground with 4 Blue Eyes White Dragons, a foreign Super Poly that was an OCG, and a foreign Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. So I was repping the foreign shit since 2001.
It's like
OCG.
14 years ago,
OCG
man.
foreign OG. So I played that for a bit, and then I got out of the game obviously because I hit around middle school and there was more interesting things.
Like what?
Yeah, like what's more interesting than Yu-Gi-Oh?
Girls at that age. So I got into other things, so I stopped playing entirely, and I think I actually parted away my Blue Eyes because I just didn't care about them anymore.
So much money
And then-
lost.
Yeah, they were original too. And then one day in high school, one of my very good friends actually showed me something called Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. And and I watched that. I think it was 40 episodes. I watched that one seating. I watched all 40 episodes. And my friends were also watching it, and then they messaged me, they texted me, and they said, "Yo, Oscar, bring your Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. We're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Today." And my first response was, "Are you fucking kidding me? No way. I'm not playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm in high school. This is beyond me." But they forced me anyways, and I brought my cards and I played. I'm like, hey, this is kind of fun. And my friend, who kind of played a little before, quote unquote, made a Stardust against me. And I literally could not kill it. And it was the most frustrating thing. This one Stardust, once he made it, I could not kill it ever.
Stardust
And
OP
he would
confirmed.
instantly win. And at that point, I was like, fuck this. I'm making a deck. So I think it's zombies, and I still can't kill it, right? Because it's a god-awful. I bought one structure deck. Ironically, I pulled a Plague Spreader, and I had that, but I still couldn't make anything because I didn't have Goyo. And then I looked into the game, I researched the game really, really in depth, and I eventually built Saber Sworn. So it was X Sabers. That was my first real deck.
Saber Sworn? There was
Yeah,
a Light
it was.
Sworns in there?
Yeah, it was Light Sworn Mill with Sabers, because they didn't have Fault Troll. Well, they had Fault Troll. They didn't have Bogart Knight and stuff, so you have to rely
thought they
on
came out
Guard
at the same
Strike.
time.
Nope, it was before. So you played Saber Sworn, and that was my first real deck, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. And actually, my first Tier 1 deck was actually X Sabers when they got their new support. And
Double
I played,
X Sabers?
Yeah, with the XX Saber, Bogart Knight, and that was my first real deck. And I played that for about 2 years, and it was insane. I played that deck non-stop, and I was basically a god at that deck until the power creep really, really kept up, and I couldn't play it anymore, and then I just built other Tier 1 decks. So that's my origin story. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video as much as we did making it.
Actually, this is actually the first time I heard his story or Oscar's story. Like, this is. So actually, Kara, how did you get into Yu-Gi-Oh?
It's all your fault.
I'm sorry.
Alright, if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe.
If you like this video, please give us a like.
And if you guys want to tell us about how you guys started Yu-Gi-Oh, make sure you guys leave a comment down below.
Until next time, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.
.TV.